Erasmus Darwin, Charles Darwin's grandfather, had an intuition that all living things came from an original, what he called living filament. Now this view, this intuition, he never articulated beyond a kind of general picture. But Darwin himself as a young man, after he returned from the Beagle voyage, began to speculate about the relatedness of living things and might they all fall into one great tree. What's interesting about Darwin, though, is in The Origin of Species, his masterwork published in 1859, he speculated that this was true, but he always held the idea very gingerly because he realized that there were lines of evidence that might contradict it. And so in The Origin, he says, it may be the case that everything is descended from one form into which life was first breathed. And actually, in the second edition of The Origin, he adds the phrase, by the Creator, with a capital C. So there's a possibility that Darwin saw the origin of life as something divinely created, then everything else sprang from that starting point. I think the ultimate origin of this picture, though, is natural processes on this view are what built us, not God's creative intent, but rather a natural process of reproduction, what Darwin called generation, where babies are born and grow up and babies become adults and have babies, and this process of reproduction then builds a long chain of relationships through time, going back to the original entity that was capable of making copies of itself. That then does the work of generating diversity without a creator being required. So I think there is a strong naturalistic motivation to construct all the disparity and diversity of life, blue whales and oak trees and starfish, you name it, without having to invoke an intelligence to do the work. And if you can get reproduction on your side to do that for you, well, babies have babies, and eventually you get a long chain of babies of biological relationships. It fits with the Darwinian naturalistic understanding of reality.